So we also reviewed the details page, what are the different options, and we also learned a trick using which we can find out the data objects. We also found how to find out the LOVs of various parameters that we use. We also reviewed the drill down report yesterday using the drill down feature. You can look at the drill down report and how do we link the drill down report using the drill down report parameter condition and drill down column. Another important aspect is that there are two methods of running any report in Polaris based on the design. One is run now, which is this feature, right? So you run now, there is no concurrent request submitted. And the another method is submit method, using which you can submit your concurrent request. It will be submitted in the backend, and you will basically come back later and view the result of your request from the request tab over here. So you can see the status, error, success, depending on the design you are developing, you will see the status over here, right? So quickly coming back for the today's session, what I want to do is I will be going through today three important topics. One is Polaris email distribution. The second is Excel integration, and I'll conclude the session with security, which is another most important concept in Polaris. After that, we will talk about certain next actions, which I want to spend a little bit time on that. And there is a slide put up for you for additional information, which you can refer later. All right. So to get started with the session today. All right. So we'll start with Excel integration. Now, Excel integration in Polaris is another powerful feature. If you have used WebADI or Hyperion Smart View, these kind of tools are basically giving you an accelerated capabilities to perform specific tasks. So this is one of the very key feature which Polaris has, wherein to run any Polaris report, you always have to go into Polaris ERP system and then click on Run Now or Submit the job. However, if you want to work on multiple reports, imagine a scenario you are in a month-end week and you want to refer to multiple scenarios, multiple reports for validating whether the month-end is closed properly or not. In that scenario, what you could probably do, one of the best scenario which I can explain for Excel integration is that you can integrate all your month-end reports, or it could be non-month-end reports. All your reports you can integrate with Excel, and all you have to do is just run that Excel file, open the Excel file, log in, and start refreshing your reports. And all the reports will be refreshed in Excel tabs for you. So this is what you can achieve, and this is what I recommend also. So let me show you first one example. But before showing this example, what I have put up here is the system requirements. If you want to use this feature, what are the system requirements that you should have? So based on my analysis, what I have found is that out of the two main requirements for Internet Explorer, your browser, please note that to use this feature, initially to create Excel files, you must use Internet Explorer. Google or Firefox or any other browsers would not be supported for this purpose. You need to use browser only for initial purpose. Later on, you will always work with Microsoft Excel for this feature. So what I have understood is that in GF laptop, Internet Explorer settings are as per the recommendation given by the Polaris team. So mostly you should not have any need to change any settings in your browser. However, if you don't find your settings as per these guidelines, please contact IT Help Desk, because I would not be able to help you in that scenario. You need to connect with the IT Help Desk. Right? Let me repeat. If your Internet Explorer settings are not as per the recommendations here, please contact IT Help Desk for that. So let me show you how these settings are configured in my browser. So from Tools, Internet Options, so I will start a new browser window. This is Tools menu. From here you go to Internet Options and you go to Security, okay, and Trusted Sites, which is fine here. You go to Custom Level, and if you scroll down, there is a setting available, Initialize and Script ActiveX controls not marked for safe. So this needs to be enabled or at least prompt. Okay, so the steps are given. So for me it's okay. So I went from Internet Options, Security tab, Custom Level, click the button and set this value to prompt or enable. So that's what my setting is. Now this could be a different setting depending on when you did when you got the laptop. So this is another important setting that you should change for your Excel, and this you should be able to do. So this setting is for macro enablement. Using these steps you can enable the macro and check this box for trust access to the VBA project. This is a one-time setting that you need to do. So let me validate whether my setting is correct or not. So I'll start my Excel. I'll go to File. I'll go to Options. Then I go to Trust Center. I go to Trust Center Settings. Then I go to Macro Settings, Enable All Macro, and Trust. All right, so this is the minimum setting required. And if you find any difficulty, I need your help to connect with Help Desk. And if still there is some problem, please let me know if these settings are enabled and it is not working for you. All right, sometimes certain users, depending on the laptop image, may hit some issues. So that's the reason you may need to try these options first. Okay, so that's about getting ready for this feature. Now this feature is only needed when you want to create the Excel integration. Subsequently, you do not need those options. Okay, so very first thing, what feature should I use for using the Excel integration? So as I mentioned, we have always used create report. We always used my reports. Now I'm going to another third tab, which is called Excel Publisher. So you click on the Excel Publisher, find out the reports from the available list, example, the report that we designed. So search for those reports, click on Go, select the reports which you want to integrate in Excel file. Using these options, you can either move all of them or move one or two of them into the selected reports and click on Publish. Once you have it available, click Publish. Then when you publish, this is a standard warning message that Internet Explorer will display. Click Yes. It gives you a warning that there is some script being run. Do you want to run it? So you click Yes. And the very first thing is good to save your work. So an Excel file will be launched once you click yes in the previous window. All you do is you save this file as XLSM extension, which is macro enabled workbook. So the very first thing you do is click on save. All right. So once you have saved your file, once you have saved the file, you will go into the Add-ins tab. As you can see, even here also, there is an Add-ins tab here, right? So click on that. There will be a menu available for Polaris. Click download. All right. Once you download, based on the browser, some of the users may hit this error message. I tried in my latest browser image, which I got from my latest laptop. I did not hit this error, but in my older image laptop, I was hitting this error. It could be my browser issue also. So if you hit this warning message, just click yes. Now what happens is when you click download, the Polaris will re-authenticate with your account. So it will need one account with valid Polaris access and the responsibility that you should be using for this. The next thing is these are the report parameters. You submit the report parameter and say run now or submit. Same feature. Run now will populate the report in Excel. Submit will submit a report in as a concurrent request, and you will be able to see the request details here. All right. So let's look at that, and then the report is available to you in the Excel. All right. So let me give you a demo on this. Let's say I close my Excel, and let me close all other windows. And this is my account, right? So I'll be using Excel Publisher from here. Say I want to use this report, or maybe let me not use that. I'll be using this FA Asset Register report in my Excel integration. All right. So I'll go to Excel Publisher. I'll search for the report. So this is my report which I want in my Excel, and then I click on Publish. So after a while, you will hit this ActiveX window which I just showed to you. Just click on Yes. In a while, it should open an Excel file for you. The very first thing, as I said, go File and click Save. First, save your file into any folder where you want to save this file. And remember to choose macro enabled workbook, say FA register, and I'll save it under documents. All right. The file will be saved as an XLSM extension, which is a little bit different than normal. Okay. The next thing we do is click on Add-ins. We should see Polaris menu here and click download. All right. Once we download, since I have already logged on into the browser, it will automatically use my login credentials from this browser window. Otherwise, it will prompt me for username and the password, or if it is SSO enabled environment, internally it will authenticate and show you your name here. This is standard Oracle functionality. So you use a relevant responsibility for this report. Click next. You should see the previous run if you had submitted, and then all you need to do is, as if you are running this report from Polaris, submit the parameter which you need to provide here, and then say run now. So this is the interesting part. If you submit, it will appear here. But if you run now, the Excel file will be refreshed. So let me click on run now. So it will show you that it is fetching the data for you. And as you can see that exactly the same number of columns and the format, it has pulled this report for you. Now those who are very much fan of Excel can play around with this data. Now the most important topic that I want to show you is that as you can see, we have a drill down column in this report that we just now refreshed here, which is the FA register report, right? And the drill down is on this asset number. So this drill down feature is not lost when you use Excel for refreshing Polaris report. Let me repeat. If you have configured any drill down columns, those configurations are not lost when you use Excel integration feature of the Polaris. So let me do one thing. Let me click on one of the assets here, then see what happens. Right? So it tries to refresh the data. However, for that particular item, asset, there is no data. Let me click the second one. I get the data. So depending on the design of the report, you will get the drill down report also if you export a master report. All right. So that's the feature which I wanted to show you today. All right. So any questions so far? Okay. So the key thing here is that while I was starting this topic, I mentioned that where you should use this feature, right? Of course, you are a fan of Excel. You can always go and start using Excel once you design your report. The another key feature is that the good thing is that let's say you have FA register report, you have tax report, you have GL report, you have AP report. What you can do is, in this window, you can search all those reports, right? And you can just pull all these reports and add them into your, publisher selection and just publish. All those reports next time, you do not have to run from Polaris. All you have to do is go to add-ins, download. So depending on the parameter and the tab you are into, it will refresh that report for you automatically. All right. Now let's say I want to change this asset number parameter that I had used for this report. So how do I do that? So since it has created some extra worksheets, I can go and remove those worksheets. These are the drill down worksheets for the report. I don't want to use them. And I can go back. All I have to do is go to add-ins, click the Polaris, and click download again. Now I can change the parameter, right? All I have to just do is select the different parameters. Okay, and then click on run now. So when you again run this report, it will now fetch the relevant data based on the parameters that I have given. So how do I change this parameter? All you do is go to add-ins, click Polaris, click download. This will bring you back to the parameters tab. Now certain reports will not have parameters. They are designed to just give you data in a format that is pre-agreed, right? Those are lightweight reports. very fast they run, and you do not have to wait for those reports, then in those scenarios, it becomes even easy. You just click download and automatically the data will be refreshed for you. The another good feature is that, let's say you have certain formulas that you add, right? So you can add a column here. Say, I want to know whether the value of PO is valid or not. Is PO exists or does PO exist? So I can put a formula. If there is a value in this column, then yes, else no. So I can write any formula. Maybe something is wrong with my formula. So what I can say is that, okay, I'll just put some value here. So imagine this is my custom column I have added just now. And if I refresh this report, those formulas columns that I add at the end will be still retained. And the formulas will be executed also when the report is refreshed. So what I'm trying to say is that you might be having a lot of formula column requirements. So you can add those columns at the end over here, and then those columns can be basically retained when you refresh the report. So that's another item I just wanted to highlight to you. Okay, coming back to the slide. So what did we review is how do we create an Excel file based on a Polaris report. So a Polaris report can be created, can be executed from an Excel using the Excel publisher link available. There are certain browser settings that you must have in place and the Excel settings that you must have in place. You can add as many reports you want into the Excel publisher. All you just do is add search report and add them and click on publish. And please go ahead and play around with this feature. And once you have report Excel file is created on your laptop, first thing you do is save your file. Remember to save it as XLSM as an extension, which is macro. M stands for macro enable. And then only one option, which is simple and easy option under Polaris RWB. There is a download option. You use that and provide necessary parameters, and the report is refreshed. The most important topic that I covered, item that I covered here is that if you have drill down reports, those drill down links are available in Excel as well, right? You do not lose them. It's not only the feature in the front end, it's also the feature in the Excel. Another thing is when you are importing the Excel reports, when you are importing the reports in Excel, you do not have to bring or explicitly select the drill down reports. Okay? All you have to just bring in is the parent report. You can bring in the drill down report, not a problem, but you do not require. Just now I showed you an example that when we bring this FA asset test report, we did not bring the child report. It was automatically created by the hyperlink. All right. So that concludes my Excel integration session. If you have any questions, please feel free to stop me on the way. Right. The next topic that I want to cover is the security. Now, security is the most important topic when you are dealing with sensitive financial data. So I know many of you would have these concerns that how do I ensure that my report is secure, safe, underlying data objects are safe, and also you want to control some row level data display as well. So how do I secure my Polaris reports, right? So let me tell you that out of these three levels of data security that Polaris provides, Polaris reports security is one thing that you will manage. Say you create a report, then you are the owner, and you can share with somebody, and I'll give you a demo for that as well, that how you can share reports and only the outputs with other users. So out of these three levels of securities, you will be able to manage this. However, these two items will be managed by IT teams. That's my recommendation, is because the data objects, if we open up, it requires the administrator access, and the same goes for raw data as well. So if you want to manage the row level access inside the data object, then it requires an administrative privilege. So if you see this, this is 1, 2, and 3 items are ordered in a micro level in an order. Like on the top you have Polaris report, right, which is executed by you and other group of people who have access to these reports. Inside the Polaris reports are data objects, and inside the data objects are the rows. So if you see the order of these arranged here, there is a reason for that, that this is the lowest level of security that you can configure. This is a higher level. Collection of raw data is the data object, and collection of data object, on top of that I build the reports. So in Polaris you have different configurations and controls available at each level. So let's say no problem if you grant somebody an access to a Polaris report. If that person does not have an underlying data object, your report is still safe and secure. But remember, I spoke about a responsibility context, right? So that plays a key role, which is what I will show you later. Okay, so these three things, these three topics I would like to cover. To start with, I would like to cover report level security. So Polaris report level security allows you as an individual, when you design any report which is newly created by you and you want to share it with somebody, all you do is go to details. There is a button available called share. All right. So this option you will use. Typically, you use this feature when you are designing some report in EBSQ environment and you want multiple people to review the report that you have designed recently. In that case, you will be able to use this feature. There is also another scenario that certain reports, you want to meet a specific requirement for somebody. Let's say you are designing a small report for management temporarily. You can use share report feature to share the report with them. So how do I do this? So let me show you a demo on sharing the report. So let's say you have designed a report which is my FA register report. You want to share it with Polaris 1 user. So let me log in as Polaris 1 user here. Oh, okay, sorry, there's something wrong in my link. Okay, so for Polaris 1 user, I'll go to the working folder or anywhere else, not find my FA register report. All right, it is not available for me. So currently, I am logged in as my user, which is another user that I have used, E16668. Let me show you again. This is my user ID, right? I'm not a Polaris 1 user. My requirement is I want to share this report with Polaris 1 user. So what I do is I click on share. Remember, this is only for this report. Okay, you are not sharing any other report. Now you have option here. There are two tabs: responsibility level share and user level share. So I can go to user and click new. And here I can choose a user to whom I want to share this report with. So this is the user with whom I want to share this report. The share levels are three: report, output, and report and output. Now, I'll show you these examples. When you share report, users will be able to see the report in the working folder as if I can see right now here, and then they can also submit the report. Okay. So let me show you this option, report, and then I click on save. All right. Now let me switch the window to Polaris 1 user. Let me see what happens when I log into this user. So all I have to do is refresh, and you can see now I have something under working folder. And that's my FA register report, right? Just now the one which I shared. Now when I click on this, remember I mentioned that it will automatically use this context as if it is this context. Now when I share a report, there are certain differences. If I want to execute this report, I will see that I have all the options, like I can run as a smart grid, I can also submit the report, and I'll be able to run this report, right? But when I go to details, you see, I cannot rename, I cannot delete, right? If you look at my user here, this is this user, I can see more options. So obviously, since Polaris 1 is not the owner of this report, this user will not see many things. For example, when I click on details, I do not see many other options to modify this report, right? I only see these three buttons, wherein when I'm logged in as this user, which is the owner of this report, I see a lot of options: copy, edit, drill down, and many other options over here, right? So this is because the Polaris 1 user is not the owner of these reports, so there will be restricted features enabled for that user, right? However, in the details tab, I will still be able to see the data object used, parameters and LOEs used, conditions used, and any drill down reports which are used. All right. So this is the share report. Now, using the share report, I can submit this report and view the output, right? And I can click the asset number, and if the data is there, it is visible. However, I do not see any errors. So take note that when I grant an access to a report which has inbuilt drill down report, that report is also granted to the user, because Polaris considers FA register report and all its child report, drill down report, as one object, and it will grant access on all those objects to the user. All right. Now I can run this report and I can submit the report. I can also view certain details. Right. Now another aspect that I would like to show you is the, let me log out. Another method of sharing the report I want to show you is only the output. Now I go into this user level share that I did and I say only output and then I click on save. So what does this mean? Now when this Polaris 1 user will log in, let me log in again. And when I go to my reports, I do not see anything under working folder. What does that mean is, I have granted this user the privilege just to view the output. What it means is that now the report cannot be submitted by Polaris user. So that's what is the report privilege, which I mentioned. And then when I save this, now I am running this report and let me submit the output. Let's say I select some values. Yeah, I'm sure somehow it's not working. Let me check whether the output is coming or not. Yes. So for these parameters, the output is coming. Okay. So what I will do is now is that I will submit a request. Okay. So it will use this parameter. Instead of run now I will submit the request. All I can do is submit. So it will run one time this request immediately. Okay. And it will show me here the request ID. So this is my request ID. All right. Now I go to Polaris 1 user again, and I go to request tab, and if any report that has completed, it will be visible to me over here. Okay. Why it is not showing? Because there are 3 check boxes. You can see here. If I click on shared, which means any shared output by any other user with me, I will be also able to see those requests. Let me click refresh now. And you can see that I have this report which is still in running stage. Remember, this is not my report. Now this is one of the good feature I would like to highlight, that say you design a report and you want somebody who does not belong to your department to just see the output. This is the way to go, which is not possible in Oracle. In Oracle, you have to download or send an email and get the attachment from IT, download the report and send an email, right? Now, those efforts can be saved if you can use the share report feature. It will help you with sharing the output only. Remember, this user cannot submit the report, but just can see the output. So here it shows the name of the report, date. Once the report completes, all the outputs will be available, whichever the formats we choose when we submit the report, shared by which user. You can also search for reports shared by a specific user also, and there is a log file. And also there is a row count. This is interesting because many a times you are not aware whether this report is a zero size report or it has some data inside, or sometimes it could be a very large report. So you do not have to open the report to see those information. from here itself, you can decide whether this is a good report or this is not a good report. All right. So once the report is finished, as I said, now the report has completed. So you can see that the other columns for the output are now filled up. So, sorry. So you can see that now the output is available in all these different formats, which I wanted users to see. Remember, as long as user has the responsibility, they can also invoke a smart grid. But remember, the smart grid is not, when I click on this refresh button here, right? The smart grid is not fetching the latest data. It is the data of these requests. Okay? This is not a run now feature. This report was generated at so and so time, hence the data will be static as of that date and time. Okay? So that's one important thing. So user can also view an HTML format report, which is also available out of the box. User also can view the pivot or CSV or Excel file. All right, and as you can see here, the row count it shows too. This is important when you want to just find out the reports which are valid reports. If it has 0, you don't even have to open it. It has no data. So any questions on this so far? All right, so this is what is the Polaris report level security. So I would not go and show you a demo on how you share a report with a group of people, right? It is quite obvious that if you want a group of people, go on adding the names over here, click new, go on adding them. But let's say you want to share with a specific responsibility, you can also add that here. All right? So anybody who has the responsibility will be able to see the report for you.
Can I ask you a question? Is it also possible we have some email groups here? This is just only by user, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So email groups are outside of Oracle. They are not stored inside Oracle, so there is no way to find out that. But I will tell you how to do that. That's the valid question you have asked. And let's say you have email groups. So what do you do? So that's what is the next topic is about email distributions. Okay. So I will address that item as part of that topic. All right. All right, so that's about Polaris security at a report level. Remember, report level. We are talking about this, a report level security. You control the report level access since you are the owner of the report. Okay. Now, next topic is the, so this is basically the same. I mentioned that you can share the report at a responsibility level. This is the explanation about each share level, which is described over here. For your training references, you can use this. Now, Polaris report folder level. Now, remember, this is, you are granting an access to a specific group of people and specific set of users here, right? As you can see that, I also have okay. So there is another option which is, these are the report folders you can see here, right? So these folders will be managed by IT. So that's the next topic is about. I would not go much in detail for now on this, that we can organize report folders, right? initially, just now what you did is you have a working folder, there is a report inside, you just want to share this report with somebody. So go on and use the share feature. But over a period, you design 5-10 reports, and you want to share all those 5-10 reports with a specific set of people under, say, FA report folder or tax report folder or IC report folder, right? So what needs to be done for that requirement is that the report folders will be managed by IT. You may organize the folders in a reports in a, sorry, this should be report. You may organize your reports in a particular folder. Once you have done that, all those reports with the details, submit a request to the IT team. When you submit the request, provide these details like name of the reports. You want to make it available to the group of people and responsibilities. These reports should be available under which folder? Like it should be available under FA report folder so that it follows a standard sharing mechanism. And then these reports will be shared with which users or responsibilities. So if you want IT to manage that, IT can also help you manage and organize your reports at a centralized location. All right. So IT teams will manage these activities. However, we are evaluating with vendor if these can be enabled for power users, and we will let you know once this feature is available. Right. Now the next level is Polaris data object level security. Now this is the best level, I would like to say, that you can secure your all the data. So over a period of time, FA team or tax team creates a lot of data objects, right? These data objects, if you grant to somebody within your team, no problem. But let's say by mistake, these data objects are open to some end users who should not have access to these data objects. Users who are familiar can create reports on top of those data objects. All right. So it is important that we control the data object access, and under the data object access, IT teams, as I showed yesterday to you, that the data objects are collected into data object folders, and those folders will be granted access to the respective groups. So that's what was the first topic yesterday I described to you. So that's basically the feature I'm referring to, that data objects can be grouped in a folder. IT teams will grant relevant folder access to users via an approved access request. Now we don't have a process at this moment. However, we will set up the process for these in future, and we'll let you know once the process is in place. All right. But as part of the onboarding for FA team, tax team, IC teams, and GL, AR teams, we have already deployed the folders, and we have granted access to the relevant responsibilities. Okay. Now, there is another concept that I wanted to touch base, was the row level. So we talked about data objects, we talked about reports. Now, we also want to talk about the row data. Okay, so how do I control this? Remember, I showed you that for certain reports, I was not, certain asset numbers, I was not able to see the data. Let me show you why. It's because of the row level data security configured in the system. So row level access rules can be created on a data object. Okay, I can define some rules on a data object. Those rules then can be assigned to a user or a responsibility. For example, in this screenshot, what has been done is that we have created a rule on FA asset register report data object. So this is the data object. The rule controls value of book type code column, which is one of the columns by this data object. So if the value of this column is not like GFS Corp, then it will allow users to see the data. So this is the condition that we have created, right? And then it will basically, this rule then needs to be assigned to specific users or responsibilities. Now, this is one of the best feature as far as the data security is concerned, which Polaris has. We do not have this feature or similar feature in Oracle by default, except for GL and to some extent for inventory data. We have to design different responsibilities and control the data, or design separate report for different groups. Like Germany team can see only Germany data, Singapore team can see only Singapore data. So we have to design different reports for these groups, right? Now, in this case, what can be done is that all I just do is I create a rule that if the data object has this rule is assigned to a responsibility. Meaning, this rule can be assigned to a team in Germany so that they cannot see GFS data, right? So this is what is the demo that I would like to just show you. Not too much in detail because this will be managed by IT, but this feature is something that you need to know. Reason why this will be managed by IT is because the options are available under administrator responsibility. So let me quickly show you that this custom security, data object security, this allows us to create a rule and then add condition and assign the condition to a specific user, right, or a responsibility. So let's say I have this FA asset register report, right? I add a condition that book type code the book type code column name is only equals to a value, right? So I don't know what all values are there inside, right? So to find out that, let me go back to the Polaris user and find out under the FA user and submit a sample report. Say right, these are the book type codes available, isn't it? So I want to show only the data except for GF Corp, right? So I need to know that a particular asset, if it is for GFS or GST or GSP, I can configure all these conditions over there in my security window just now, the one I showed you, and it will allow me to control that only GFUS responsibility can see GFUS data for these data object, right? So this feature is available. So let's say I want to create for GFUS, anything that starts with GFUS, I want to create a condition for that. So I go to security for this, add a condition, book type code, like. Okay, so this value when I save is I'm creating a condition on these data object that if the value of this column is like this, then assign this rule to a responsibility. So now I can choose a responsibility and okay, so everything is GFX. So if there was anything that was GFU, I could have assigned this rule to that responsibility. So for example, let's say FA team decides that I only want GL team, these users, to see this report only for the US. I don't want them to see globally. So I'm assigning this rule. I can go on adding as many rules as I want, and then I can save this. All right. So what this means is that if any user who has access to a report which is built on top of these data object with this responsibility, a rule will be applied that they can only see US data. All right. So what this means is these are all the columns available inside the data object, and you can create a condition on any column here. You can also say that only category like, you know, a specific category of the asset can only be seen by this group of responsibilities. So when they view the report, they will view the data based on the condition that has been assigned. Now, you use these kind of features when the number of Polaris users starts increasing and it becomes difficult to manage the data access. In that case, I recommend that we should start introducing the data row level data security. Else we don't need. For example, if tax team has data objects and only they will use it, there is no problem. There is no need to go on defining this. All I want you to know that we can control even row level data for these data objects. That's all I want you to know for now. In future, when the requirement comes, we will review this. All right. So for the concept purpose only, I just need you to understand. All right. So that's about the row level security. So what we discussed are the 3 levels of security in Polaris. One is reports. So you share the reports with anybody. You can also share the output only if you want to. However, folders will be managed by IT, report folders. Data objects, again, data object folders, access is managed by IT. Row level data security, just now we show that we can control the value of a column visible. Based on that, only those rows can be visible to a user when that rule is applied to the data object. All right. So this is the concept of row level, data object level, and Polaris level security I wanted to go through. If you have any questions, please feel free to drop me. This concludes the security topic. And very quickly, I would like to show you the email distribution. Now, this is the most important topic to answer few of your questions. That I have a report, I just want to share it with 10, 15 people, and I don't want to go on setting up individual share report access. And also, it becomes easy if I can just send email to 10, 20 people. All right. So how do I do that?
Hi, can I interrupt you? So I think the time is over. Maybe we should set an additional meeting for 1 hour.
Okay.
Yeah, the time is running.
Okay. Yeah, I think we covered all the topic except the email distribution. So maybe I'll set up a 30-minute call again tomorrow or whenever everybody is available. Let me send an invite for that. But this does not stop me from sending you the hands-on practices by today. All right. I'll be sending you these hands-on practices today itself, and you can start answering these questions which are put up over here. You can refer to the training material for that. Okay?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So
Okay,
that's all from my side. Thank you, everybody, again, and we'll continue the last topic tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Right.